I'd like to remind everybody that this day is sacred, where we honor the memory of those who gave their lives in the service of our country and those others who have dropped their burdens by the wayside of life to serve our country. This is a tribute for all wars, and our nation has assembled to honor its heroic dead. Because of them, our lives are free. Because of them, our nation lives. On this Memorial Day, let us remember all those who have died at sea or whose bodies have never been found or returned home. Let us make ourselves the friends and brothers, sons and fathers of those who will never see their loved ones again in the mortal flesh. At this time, I'll read the list of the members who have passed away from the West Noble American Legion Post 243. Ernest Ernie Eugene Faught, Joseph C. Fulford, Ronald Ray Hefner, Johnny D. Sparks, Paul Reed, Dale R. Halsey, John Joseph Shadell, Joseph Willard Ryder, Robert A. Bourne, Floyd F. Doc Warren, Steve C. Prince, Ricky Beckner, and Paul Fenning. The auxiliary lost Francis Irving, Ruth Elijah, and Paula Ginrich. And the Sons of the Legion lost Lauren G. Bishop and Tom Irving. Did you want to say anything, Rick?
All these people will probably hear out there.
Okay. For you who people that don't know me, my name is Rick Moore. I've never served, but I love our country. I was a fireman for years. I did do that. But I try to speak because our veterans have never forgot us, and I don't ever want to forget a veteran. You know, I was speaking about a flag I got at the Legion last year. I was at the fish chicken fry they had for cancer, and after the dinner, I asked Andy Anderson if they had any flags for sale, and he looked in the closet and he said, "I'm glad you said that. We got one flag left." And we looked at it and it was made here. You know what? A lot of people died for that flag, so it was only right that it was made here. I thought, now I have to get a pole for that flag that's made here, and I have to get a rope for that flag that's made here. And it sat in my wife calls it, I call it my man cave, she calls it other things. So it sat in there forever. She said, "Are you going to do anything with that flag?" And I didn't know why I wasn't doing anything with it. I belonged to the Knights of Columbus, and I went up there for a meeting right before Christmas. And a friend of mine mentioned that there was some veterans in the nursing home that they'd been forgotten. Nobody was visiting them. A couple of World War II veterans, matter of fact, nobody was visiting them. So I went to the nursing home, and I took that flag. I had my wife wrap it. I'm not good at wrapping. I had her wrap it real nice, and we put a little card. And I said, "Thank you for serving." And I asked if I could deliver that flag to somebody, if I could keep coming back. And they said, "No problem." I kind of interrupted my buddy in the middle of what he was saying. It's the head of the Knights. And he said, "Oh, we can talk about it in a few minutes." I said, "No, we can't talk about it in a few minutes. We have a bunch of veterans right here. You can't forget any veteran." So he said, "Well, you're going to be the head of that committee then. You take care of whatever you want to do, you do it." So I got a few guys to go up there with me. We were visiting and doing different things, and then this virus hit. But before that, I took that flag to that veteran, and she introduced me to him. And I said, "I know you don't know me, but I know you." I said, "You're an American hero." you were fighting for my country and my family before I was born. A lot of your buddies died for my country and my family. And I said, if you would like, I got a little present for you. I said, I'll leave you alone now, but if you like, we'll be back. I said, I'll bring some friends with me. I said, you guys aren't forgotten. We'll make sure of that. So we started coming back, and then this virus hit. So I did a couple things. I had the grandkids draw a bunch of pictures and hearts and different things to the great-grandkids, and I drew a flag. It was probably, I'm not very good at drawing, it's probably the ugliest American flag you ever saw. But I put on the back of that, you didn't forget me and I won't forget you. And when I brought this stuff to the nursing home, I rang the doorbell, put my mask on, and they asked me if I would like it taken in the rooms or put outside the room. I said, you do whatever our veterans want to do with it. That's what you do with it. If they want it in their room, that's fine. If they want it outside the room, that's fine. You just make sure to let them know that I haven't forgotten them. A few days ago, I went up to the Legion here and asked if they had any flags, because we have a little cemetery out in the middle of a field by our house. And they got a Civil War vet in there and a couple other veterans, and I wanted to make sure they weren't forgotten. My buddy used to take care of that. His dad was in World War II, and his wife's dad was in the Navy. So they were taking care of it for a long time, but now somebody else takes care of it. So he said, Rick, I'll make sure those flags get back there. He said, I'll drive my four-wheeler back there. In fact, it was his birthday that next day, and he assured me that he went back there, and he said somebody else had put flags on there and cut that. He said there's an older gentleman. He said he's probably in his late 80s now, and he might have done it. He has a farm outside of Ligonier, and he used to do it sometimes too. But that's great. That cemetery, that veterans weren't forgotten. I don't care if you got one veteran in the middle of a field somewhere, you can't forget that veteran. They never forgot you. So you got a lot of organizations right now that help people, that have helped people before. And I'm in one of them. It's the Knights. And we help veterans. We show up at fires and emergencies right along with the Red Cross now. We've done that for a few years. We gave $181 million worldwide to feed the hungry. We gave coats. We gave $300 worth of coats out last winter for kids and for people that didn't have coats. If you're Catholic and you're a male and you're 18 and over, you can join that if you want. Just get a hold of me, or if you know anybody who wants to join. There's all kinds of other great organizations. There's Red Cross, there's the Legion, there's all kinds of things you can join and help out. A lot of it doesn't cost you a dime, but you'll be helping your neighbors. You might even be helping people around the world, and that's a great thing to do. And you shouldn't do that just during an epidemic. You need to do that all the time. There's people that have spare time that they can spend a few hours doing something. You don't have to be there all day, and people need to do that, and they need to do that all the time. And they need to remember all our veterans, the veterans that are at seas, that were buried in the sea, our Navy. They need to remember them. So anyway, I would like to thank you guys. I'd like to thank all our veterans for their service, all our police officers, firefighters. You people are all heroes. All our doctors, first responders. A lot of people are doing great things. I just hope it keeps going on even when this epidemic is gone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Nathan, if you'd like to speak.
Thank you. So some of you may or may not know me. My name is Nathan Denton. I actually grew up in the area, but one thing not very many people know about me, my mom might even not know too much, but I'm really into history, and I like researching things just to find out, my past. And one of those things that I've been able to uncover with the help of my mom is a story about one of my great uncles. His name is A.C. Dobler. He served during World War II and actually received the Bronze Star for an action that he took on his own. And I'd like to read that article now. The title reads, Private Totes Buddy Half Mile. Private A.C. Dobler of the 357th Infantry played the role of a pack horse under heavy enemy fire and recent action to evacuate a wounded buddy from a position of extreme danger. According to the award recommendation, which, like I said, was the Bronze Star, which has been forwarded to proper authorities, Private Dobler first distinguished himself by carrying a wounded man from a field to an adjacent highway where motor transportation was available for the remainder of the journey to the aid station. Private Dobler reported to Liver Crews that he knew of another man who lay injured in another field nearly a kilometer away. The enemy fire was so intense at the time, it was virtually impossible for a group of men to successfully negotiate the open terrain. On his own initiative, Dobler started back to the wounded man. With all possible speed, he reached his companion. Using the shoulder carry, managed to stagger a half a mile back to the highway with the casualty on his back. The man was quickly taken to the nearby aid station. The feat, a gallant one in itself, was doubly meritorious in that Private Dobler is one of the smallest men in the regiment, standing about 5 feet 6 inches tall. As I said, he fought during World War II, and this actually happened July of 1944. About 6 months later, he was killed during the Battle of the Bulge, January 10th, 1945. One of the things that amazes me about this story is that this man was willing to risk his own life trying to save one of his fellow comrades. He literally laid down his life for his friend. Apostle John spoke of something similar. John 15, verse 13 says, "My command is this, love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for a friend." In this passage, John is quoting something that Jesus said prior to his crucifixion on the cross. He was willing to sacrifice his own life, not just for those around him, but for all mankind. In the past and currently, day by day, the members of the military forces, if need be, have been willing to take and have laid their lives down for not only their friends, but for causes that they believe in. Take this into the current situation. There's a special group of people that are doing the same thing day by day. I'm talking about the police, the firefighters, the doctors, and the nurses. Ever since this pandemic started, these individuals have tirelessly acted without concern for their lives. I know that we take time at this time of year to recognize our fallen that have fallen for our country, but I think there's another part that we're missing. When I grew up, one of the things that was talked about during this weekend was service. Service to family, to friends, to the community, and to country. Even though this was way before my time, John F. Kennedy said some inspiring words, and I quote, "The 17 most inspiring words in the 20th century American history were spoken by John F. Kennedy around midday on January 20th, 1961. This was during his inauguration. He had just declared that the torch had been passed to a new generation of Americans, born in this century, tempered by war, disciplined by hard and bitter peace, proud of our ancient heritage, and pledged to pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe in order to assure that survival and the success of liberty. Soon after, he spoke these 17 words. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Those words were positively electrifying. No president had ever challenged citizens in peacetime to sacrifice or commit to a larger vision. With that single sentence, Kennedy inspired people to new possibilities. He raised their expectations of themselves and their nation. Apostle Paul wrote to the Philippians, Philippians 2, 1 through 8. He said, therefore, if you have any encouragement from being united in Christ, if any comfort from his love, if any common sharing in the Spirit, if any tenderness and compassion, then make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same love, being one in spirit and of mind. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourself, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others. In your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus, who, being in the very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, being found in the appearance as a man, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on the cross. These next few words are my opinion, but I believe that in some sense, America has lost its drive for service. It shows with a lot of organizations, organizations closing their doors because membership has died off. Some like the local Elks Lodge in Ligonier, the Eagles in Ligonier, the local Scouts. Even our beloved Ligonier Marshmallow Festival is seeing a lack of people stepping up to volunteer. And another that I know is that of the Woodburn, Indiana's American Legion. And the list goes on. You know, I joined the Navy back in 1993, spent 20 years away from Ligonier, Indiana. And one of the things, through a series of circumstances, ended up moving back to Ligonier. One of those things that I wanted to make sure that I did, whatever it was, I wanted to serve. I wanted to make a difference in the community that raised me. Because I'll tell you what, I went through a lot, my family went through a lot, but the community stepped up and served and helped us out. And I encourage you, all of you, to take that to note. I'm not saying that you guys need to go out and join an organization. You can serve without being part of an organization. I challenge you, each and every one of you, to take a look at yourselves and to ask yourselves if you're doing your part to serve your family, to serve your friends, to serve your community, and to serve your country. Thank you.
Color guard, please salute the dead.
Honor guard. Stand up. Put on. Ready? Aim. 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 Fire. Present arm. Honor guard. Order. Arm. Dismissed.
Okay, these flowers may wither, but there's a spirit for which they're a symbol of will endure to the end of time. This wreath placed in the water is for all those that have died at sea, all those ships, all those submarines that are all laying at the bottom of the ocean, that God only knows where that they're at, or their bodies that are still there, and to help all the parents and relatives of those people that will never have a tombstone or will never have anything to remind them that they can come visit on days like today. After we throw the wreath in, that will conclude our ceremony. I'd like to thank everybody for attending. We do have the ham and beans down there. If you'd like to partake in that, you are welcome to. Again, thank you for attending, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Look at it go, Jim. Very nice. Nice service.
Thanks.
I got it all videoed to the end of the, my phone got.
I'm gonna carry this back for Gary.
All right, thank you.
I was watching my bolt carrier that time. Yep. I don't know.
That's okay. Nobody knows the difference.
My grandfather lighted up the end of the 80s.
Oh, good. Just for right over here.
Over here? I think it's still on, Gary. You're gonna shut it off.
Meet you down there.
Get a phone close to this heat. Glad I didn't now.